Hello everyone and welcome back. It's Robert again and I will be doing another demo today for my Phase 2 project for the winter 2015 ADO.NET development class I'm taking at Warrington Technical College. Here are the requirements for the assignment, and I will be demonstrating each part of the rubric as we go through the demo today. So for the first part, we will demonstrate connected architecture of using insert, update, and deletes. Then we will demonstrate data sets, strongly typed, and maneuvering, navigating between rows and columns. And finally, we'll demonstrate using disconnected architecture, inserting, updating, deleting. So let's go over to here, and I'm using today Visual Studio 2013 and SQL Server 2012. So let's go ahead and start the project, and I'm starting the project outside of Visual Studio to show that the program runs without error. And we're going to show that we continue to use the middle tier to do our set up our connection object, command objects, and any properties. So here's the middle tier class, and here are all my objects I'm instantiating. Here are some properties that I am exposing that I will be using later. Or actually, I'm showing it now, but actually I'm using it later in the when I do my extra credit. So let's see. We're going to do the connected architecture, and here we will be loading this list view using a SQL data reader to the middle tier class, and then we can populate these text boxes as we select through the list, and then we can add these buttons for adding, updating, and deleting from the gallery on the fly. So here's the return all galleries for the SQL data reader, and using command type text and our SQL query that we're going to pass in to load this list box. So let's say if we wanted to add a new gallery, and select an image, and we'll go ahead and add the gallery, and the gallery has been added right there. So if we go back to view galleries, we should have it in our list here. Yep. We also have it in the list here, but there's no images added, so we will have nothing under that category just yet. So let's say we want to update the gallery. We can update the name, and we just click the update, and as you can see, it got updated here. And at the same time, we can go ahead and also delete from our gallery, and aliens is gone now. So you notice there's no more aliens in here. We go confirm it, and our category is alienless. Oops. So let's go ahead and add it back in for later. And also, since we have a parent-child relationship in the category or our galleries, anything that's linked to our upper table, if we try to delete it, we will get the reference integrity kicked off from SQL Server, letting us know we cannot take the action. So that's by default in SQL Server. So here is the code for inserting into the data source. Command type is store procedure, this procedure name, and I'm passing in these parameters that I retrieved from the text boxes here, and I'm going to pass them as over to our we passed it into our middle tier, and we're going to call the SQL procedure here. I have that loaded up here, and here's our store procedure, and it's going to be, we got our input parameters defined, and it's going to insert into these fields with these new parameters here. For the update, the same thing. We are passing in the data from the text boxes here again, and we're doing command type text this time, and we just update the query here in our middle tier, and we're setting up our parameters that is going to be filling in these fields here for us. And then we're going to execute a non-query because we're not returning any rows, and then we're going to finally close up the connection for that. For the delete row, we only need get the name of the gallery. I have an ID too, but I also this since I set this to a unique property, we only need one parameter to pass into our middle tier here, and we're gonna call another command type text delete query string, and add our parameter, and it's gonna pass in the value here from the value that was passed into our method, and it's going to do a non-execute query and close off the connection after that. Um, yep, and that should be it uh, for data sets. Connected architectures. So next we'll move over to uh, data sets. And here what we're going to do is we have a data set created in our solution here, and what this does is we pulls from the data source and loads up our tables. So it's basically a schema, like looks like a copy of our data source, where we can manipulate the data here without having the connection open and letting the users browse it at their leisurely. So on so on our form load for this page, we're gonna instantiate the data set here, and then we're going to make a call to the middle tier to load up our list box here. Um, let's go take a look at that. And here again, we're just using the connection object to the data source, and then we're going to use the adapter here and open up the connection, fill in the data from the data source into our data set, into this table here for our photographers. And once we get that loaded, as you can see, we're able to use this dot convention where we can grab the name out, and you can see that these are strongly typed. Okay, so this is with the data loaded, and we are maneuvering through the data set without a connection to the data source, and we can do whatever we want at this point here without having an open line. So that is data source. Same thing here again, is a strongly data type data source. Sorry, I meant strongly type data set. So next portion, we will demonstrate using a disconnected architecture, inserting, updating, deleting from the data set, and cementing the changes to the data source. So here again, same thing. We're going to be using disconnected architecture and using our data set to pull in information. We're going to do it one for the list box here and one for the combo box here. In this one, I added extra the parent-child relationship within this form here. Let's take a look at that. So in my form, I'm going to instantiate the data set, and then also I'm going to instantiate a data table. The data table we're going to use for changes, any changes made to the data set. We're going to get those changes and then submit it to the data source. So at this time, we're going to call on the form load. We're going to call list box to load up the list box here, and then the gallery type to load up the gallery type there. Let's go take a look at that. So it goes out to the database and fills the adapter. Same thing with the galleries here too. Galleries, I'm using a library to load up when I get the data back, I'm going to load up the combo box with a value key pair, so I don't have to make any more calls to the database. So let's go take a look at this. So here we want to fill three tables from data source to data set, my table images, my bridge table, and my table galleries. And we want to do that separately for each adapter. For this one, when we create the select command, it has a default of insert, delete, and update. And for the delete, since we have a parent child, we want to override it. So that's what we're going to do right here with that, setting those properties when we build the command builder for that and updating the adapter. So I have one adapter that's going to fill my image gallery, another adapter to fill my bridge table, and then a third adapter to fill my gallery. And for the override command, we're going to call a store procedure, and that's right here. I'm going to call the store procedure, and it's going to go in and first delete the child table, and then delete the data from the parent table. So it takes care of the override. Um, so once the data is loaded here, we can browse through the data set here, and after, if we need to, we can add images, update, and delete. And once we hit these buttons, these will cement it right away. If you notice that this is the parent, this is child, and two things are happening here. I could not do this all in one step because of the parent-child relationship. Because if I add an image, I have to cement it first in order to create a new ID, and 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 add it to the bridge table to be able to use the gallery, and then I can assign a gallery to it. So let's just go ahead add a new image, aliens 2. It's default, and let's choose. And let's go ahead and add image for that, and let's do that, and we will add it, and add it successfully. And if we go down, you can see the changes here. So it added a size of the image, update, it was added, and it's default. It said if we want to update it, we can go ahead and update it, and update successfully. And if we move away, we come back, we can see it's still 1. We can take a look. Oops. Let's go ahead and add the image real quick to a category, to our aliens category, so it gets cemented in, or to get, not doesn't get cemented, but it adds to the data set, or it doesn't get cemented. And then our images, aliens, and there's our aliens there. Okay, and now if we want to delete it, we can delete it, and it's gone. It's not in here no more. So let's take a look at the code for those. So after we load our list box and our gallery type, we coded the onSelect events. And because we loaded up our data set, it's a strongly typed data set, so we can pull it out and assign it to our values over here for every select event. Okay, and here's our add button. So when we add a button, we're going to create a data row. We're going to add a new data row, and then when we're done assigning to our data row, we're going to add it, and this is going to flag it in our data table as a modified, and then after that we sync it to the data source. I'll show you that in a bit. For the update, the same thing too. When we add take this action here, when we're adding to the data set here, it's going to flag it also as well to the data table, and set it as a flag as modified, and then we're going to sync it. And then lastly, for the delete, when we take this action, it also flags it in the data table, and then we synchronize the changes to our data source. To synchronize it, here's the code for that. In the data history that we assigned instantiate at the very top, any of these gets flagged, and then it will synchronize it, or make the changes here. And by making that change, it will call this middle tier to go out and execute this method here, and pass it in the data table and update the changes. And then lastly, for the select gallery, we're just doing a one-time thing when we set it, so I just use the connected architecture for that to quickly set the value. And that's done right here. If it goes in, if it sees it's the first one, it will add it. If not, it will append to the update. So that's it for today. Any questions, let me leave me a message. Thank you.